Hello, welcome to this module on how to configure the application menu in OvalEdge. I'm logging in as an admin user. Let's see the list of applications that are available. On the left side, you see all the applications that an admin has access to. These applications can be turned on or off to different users. In order to do that, you jump into the administration tab, the security module, and within the security module, we have applications tab. And you click on the applications tab, you can configure application access right here. But before we look at the specifics in this screen, let's try to understand the type of users within OvalEdge. There are two types of users. You have business users and you have other users. Business users have business license. They have only meta read access within OvalEdge. They do not create any content within OvalEdge. The other users, they have meta write access in OvalEdge. They create content in OvalEdge. The first step in configuring application access is to decide whether you want to configure for a business user or you are doing it for based on role, because each business user or an author user has a role assigned to them. Let's look at the specifics that are available on this page right now. So you have the application name, where you enter the details of the application. Application path is just a more specific location of the application. Business user permission is used to enable or disable access to just the business user. Role-based permission is to enable or disable access based on the role that particular user belongs to. And here are the roles. So let's look at different scenarios to really understand how to configure this. Here are the different types of permissions. You have business user permission, role-based permission. When a business user permission is disabled, then all the business users will not have access to the application. In contrast to this, in the case of role-based permission, when that is disabled, other users will have access to the application. So this is a key difference between how the disabled status means in different scenarios. But again, we will look at different examples to really understand how to set up. Now let's look at two business users. You have Ben, who has business license, and Brett, business license. Ben belongs to OE public user role. Brett belongs to marketing user role. In scenario one, all business users should have access to all the applications. Let me pull up my Google Chrome. This is where my admin access is available, and then I can manage the applications right from the screen. Because I want to enable all the business users with access to all the applications, that means that I need to turn on all the applications for all the cases here. And there are 166 items in this screen. In order to do it in one go, I can click on this checkbox, go to 9 dots, and then enable business user permission. But before I do that, let's log in from Firefox as a business user and then see what kind of access he has to different applications. So this is my Firefox. So let me log in first as Ben. Ben should not have access to any applications, because if you go back to Google Chrome here, you see that the business user permission is still disabled. Now let us enable this and see the magic. When I enable business user permission, now let's go back to Firefox and re-log in as Ben. You see that Ben has access to all the applications. That is because we enable business user permission to all the applications. So all business users, not just Ben, even Brett will have access to all the applications. So even when I log in as Brett, even he has access to all the applications. Let's look at scenario 2. All business users should have access to only data catalog. Let's go back to our Google Chrome. Let's reset the settings here again. So let me disable business user permission. We want to enable access to catalog. So let's search for catalog. Only access should be provided to data catalog. So let us just enable that. Now, when I log in as a business user, because only access has been provided to data catalog, Ben has access only to that application module. Even when I log in as Brett, Brett will have access only to data catalog. Let's jump back and look at the next scenario. Business users only in certain user role, OE public, should have access to data catalog. Now, because you are providing different levels of access based on the user role, that means that you want to do role-based permission. Let's go back to Chrome here. Let's reset the settings here first. Because we want to provide business user with some kind of permission. In fact, permission to data catalog. Let me search for catalog. And within catalog, let me provide access to the data catalog. So this is the first step. Without this enabled, a business user can never have access to that particular application. Now, because I'm telling that business users should have access to this data catalog alone, I'm going to enable this. But this means that all business users will have access to only data catalog. But our scenario states that only OE public, a specific user role, should have access to data catalog. That means that after you enable business user permission, you need to enable role-based permission. When you enable role-based permission, it means that all the users that are part of the available roles will have access to that particular application. And if you're not part of this particular available role, you will not have access to the specific application. In this case, I want OE public to have access. So when I click on the pencil icon there, I see that in the assigned roles, OE public is available, but the other role, the marketing user role, if I search here, marketing, it is not part of the assigned roles. So this means that OE public will have access to this particular application, but the marketing user role, they will not have access to this particular application. Now let's see this in action. Let's log in as Ben now, because Ben belongs to OE public. He will have access to data catalog. If I log in as Brett now and sign in, Brett will not have access to data catalog because Brett is not part of OE public. He's part of marketing user role, and marketing user role is not part of the available roles here. This concludes our section on business user settings. But now let's move on to other users. There are two other users for this example. You have Frank and Jake. Frank belongs to OE Financial, Jake belongs to compliance user role. Scenario one, all other users should have access to all the applications. In this case, first, let's reset all access here. Let me remove this. Perfect. So all the other users should have access to all the application. Other users means you don't have to worry about business user permission anymore. Just think about this role-based permission. All other users should have access to all applications. That means that you don't need to enable any of these checkboxes here or the toggle buttons here, because if this is disabled, it means that all the other users have access to all the applications. Let me go back to Firefox. Let me log in as Frank. You will see that Frank has access to all the applications. Even when I log in as a different user, we have Frank and then Jake. Jake has access to all the applications here. So that's a key difference here when you're looking between business user and role-based other users. For other users, you don't need to enable anything to provide them with access. By default, everyone has access to all applications. Let's look at the final scenario where other users only in certain user roles should have access to data catalog. In this case, let's say that only those in OE Financial should have access to data catalog. That is, only Frank should have access to data catalog, and other users should not have access to data catalog. In this case, jump right to the catalog here, and then for the catalog, find or enable the role-based permission. In the available roles, make sure that Frank's role is available here. So Frank is OE Financial, so it is part of the assigned roles. So that means that Frank will have access to the application. But Jake, who is part of the compliance, because it's not part of the assigned roles, he will not have access to the data catalog. I can show it to you. Again, I'm logging in as, let's say, logging as Frank. He will have access to data catalog, as you can see here. But when we log in as Jake from compliance, because Jake is not part of the available roles, he will not have access to the data catalog. So this is how OvalEdge provides a lot of flexibility in configuring the application menu. Thank you so much for watching.